today's edition, for our most famous and well-known section of the world's most preferred news, the health bomb. We'll be covering one of the strangest viral infections ever known to human mankind.
Remember that one story that was basically an entire childhood? You know, that weird one with this one girl that falls down a rabbit hole and just happens to end up in Wonderland?
Yep, you know it, folks. Alice in Wonderland. It just happens to also be a syndrome, also known as Todd syndrome and Lilliputian hallucinations, which is derived from the Epstein-Barr virus or human herpes virus 4.
Why don't we go to our fellow reporter Jasmine for more information on this strange viral infection?
Yes. Here at Wonderland Grove, we are just about to encounter one of the many victims of the so-called Alice in Wonderland syndrome, which is believed to be associated with several acute infections including varicella, Coxsackie virus, as well as a possible occurrence of herpes. Because the Epstein-Barr virus is located worldwide, indicating that Alice in Wonderland syndrome is located worldwide as well, we've decided to interview one of the most famous and totally real victim of all.
Hello there. A pleasure to meet you. Care for a cup of tea?
Alice, what are you doing in there?
The voice. Please lower it. I have a severe migraine. It's just killing me right now.
Sorry, but what are you really doing in there?
Me? Oh, well, I thought I was going through a normal-sized door, but it turned out to be a cabinet, and so now I'm stuck here. Oh well, I'll find my way out somehow.
Oh well, I suppose that's what to be expected from an individual suffering from Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Tell me, Alice, what is it like to be living with the syndrome, and what do you know about it?
Well, ever since I returned from my trip to Wonderland, I've been experiencing severe migraines, and things seem to be a bit disproportionate. Is it just me, or is your hand bigger than your mouth?
No, I think it's just you.
Then Sister decided to take me to the doctor, and my doctor told me that I'm suffering from a disorienting neurological disorder associated with distorted time, space, and body image in which objects seem disproportionate out of size. They either appear to be smaller or larger than normal.
That's a bit unfortunate. And how do you believe this disease was transmitted to you?
Well, during my trip to Wonderland, I encountered this one bottle that was labeled "Drink Me," and me, being the obedient one, decided to drink it because what else could I do?
Why do you think this bottle caused you to develop Alice in Wonderland syndrome? Does the drink contain any harmful substances?
I think it might have been associated with direct contact to contaminated saliva from an individual with herpes, or it could have been a rabbit, or a caterpillar, or a flower.
Up to now, you are just another victim from those few individuals who have acquired Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Do you know the exact number of victims so far?
Up to now, besides me, there are only 169 cases that have been reported. Only about 10 to 20% of the population report symptoms of Alice in Wonderland syndrome.
And do you know what this virus looks like?
Unfortunately, I do. I don't think I'm supposed to have taken this picture from my doctor since I'm only 10 and all, but I couldn't help it. Curiosity has always been a part of me. But this is what's currently affecting me. A virus that comes from the human herpes virus 4 class. It consists of a double-stranded DNA genome encased within the capsid protein cage, which is wrapped in a lipid bilayer called the envelope.
So tell me one last thing. What is it like to live with this disorienting syndrome?
It's not that bad, just a bit Wonderlandish. It's similar to having the same side effects as after the consumption of drugs, causing me to experience very unusual symptoms. But it's okay. It's supposed to fade away as age progresses.
Thank you so much, Alice, for taking your time to responding to this interview and for sharing your story with us. I sincerely hope you do feel better and that you find your way out of this door. Talking about doors, why don't we transfer over to our medical scientist who lives right next door.
Why, hello there. I wasn't really expecting company. What's this? Cameras? Am I famous?
Nope. Exactly, but who wouldn't want to be co-workers with Kim Kardashian? But you are the medical scientist, and we were wondering if you could provide us with more facts about the Epstein-Barr virus, which leads to the development of Alice in Wonderland syndrome.
Well, I was already getting my hopes up. I suppose I could tell you a few things. What do you want to know?
As you may know, the Alice in Wonderland syndrome is very unusual, and many people have never heard of it before. Would you be willing to tell us how the virus causes damage to the human body?
Well, the human herpes virus, also known as Epstein-Barr virus, is the causing agent of the Alice in Wonderland syndrome. As shown here, the virus targets the temporal, parietal, and occipital lobe of the brain and is potentially dangerous, for it can lead to the development of cerebral atrophy or multiple sclerosis.
Interesting. Well, thank you very much for taking time to respond to our questions. Hopefully, these treatments promote success. Oh, and one last thing. I wish you the best in luck in becoming best friends with Kim Kardashian. Back to you, Jose and Yaira.
Go. Thank you, Jasmine. You heard it, folks. Alice in Wonderland syndrome might sound fun and all, but it can turn out to be a nightmare that just might eat your brains away.
Now, next up, is Kylie Jenner actually